Welcome to what is going to be the last Transformers animated episode of the original cast before new characters start showing up just randomly and unannounced. Because after that, you'll have about 50 to 60 new Transformers to look forward to in the span of 40 some episodes. You're listening to me, Sean, and
Charlie.
And Thomas.
And together we're
Sparkcast.
So today's episode is called Enter the Nightbird. Oh my god, I don't have my file open. Give me 1 second. This is 10? Yes. Did I have any comments about the Japanese area? I know I watched it because I remember the guy having a Japanese voice.
Dr. Fujiyama, the famous scientist. And he could call directly to the Transformers without them even picking up their telecom.
Yeah. I don't think I had any notes because nothing was relevant for Generation 2. I didn't see any differences on the Japanese version at all, unless I wrote one somewhere on my notes that we'll get to.
Me, Grimlock, no like you.
I did like at first, the beginning, they're like, hey, we got new detectors. And I'm like, good. You need it. You're always constantly getting broken into. Whether it's underground by the Constructicons, an invisible Megatron and Starscream.
Oh,
or,
yeah. Those were so dumb. They
or
all
Laserbeak.
they all had cords. Firstly, they have so much cordless technology. Why in the world do they all have to be plugged in with some kind of wire? So they've got a wire on like a weird giant plate that somebody's going to notice stepping on to begin with. And then they're like, oh, look how it detects metal. Waving their own hands over it or something. It's like, well, duh, it's going to detect you before it detects anything else. I doubt if anybody's going to step on that and just make the whole system go off.
Or they ranged. And then later I found out 10 minutes later, when a Decepticon's sneaking in, it's touch-based. These are the most useless things you have ever invented, Wheeljack.
And on top of that, they used them again towards the end where the female robot is just like, oh, there's detectors on the floor with cords and everything. I should go on the ceiling. So it's just like,
yeah. I don't think they're as bad as Sean's making them out to me. I just think that the way that they're being used is terrible. Like you have just this one set in this one specific location, and then you're making them flash just to draw attention to them to be avoided. Like, come on.
They were corded. I'll repeat, corded. They weren't cordless. They had wires running all around them. They were super obvious.
Yeah.
And it's funny that they're trying to be so security minded, and they have this terrible implementation with the floor sensors. They have one camera at their one entrance at the front, but they don't have any cameras in the giant hole that's at the top of their base. Like, all the Decepticons can fly.
Okay, that is so obviously animation error where they keep using the wrong background. I feel like that's from the pilot episode, and they keep forgetting to use the fixed roof one. And I'm just like, all right.
I mean, if they're in the side of a mountain, it seems like there would be a lot of they would have to build so much just to cover the giant hole that would just be left over from their impact.
Sarcasm not appreciated.
Sorry, real quick, I forgot to mention, this episode is written by Sylvia Wilson and Richard Milton, and unfortunately, I was not able to find anything about them anywhere on Wikipedia, Amazon, International Movie Database. The only thing I can find is that Milton also apparently wrote for Marcus Welby, MD, a few years before writing for the Transformers. And with that, back to the episode. We now return to the podcast of the Transformers. One thing I thought was funny is later in this episode, we'll see that there is a giant hole with an elevator that goes up to the top of the mountain from the Ark, right?
Yes, that's the giant hole I was talking about.
Yes, yep. Okay, yeah. So that has never shown up before. And I was like, oh, this has been there the whole time.
Yes, that's true. and even whether it was there the whole time or recent, you probably want to have some kind of camera there, regardless.
Or at least a cover that opens when the elevator goes up instead of just being a gaping open hole, right?
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous because the elevator isn't really meant for people to use it from the very top. It just seems like here's a top floor. The elevator just happens to go up here where this other floor is, but it doesn't go all the way to the top of the mountain. So like, yeah, it's ridiculous. It should just be a tunnel. The elevator should have been in a tunnel.
It's funny. It just reminds me of in Transformers Victory, their spaceship is just parked out in the middle of the desert or next to a mountain. So you always know the context of where people are in their base at all times, because there's like the bottom part of it, there's the top part of it, there's the cockpit at the front. Like you can always kind of tell where they are in relation on the ship, which is like, one of the positives about that show. But it's just like here it's just
I like when shows do that where they kind of like there's some continuity between between different locations, and you can kind of tell that like, okay, if you're gonna, as you transition from scene to scene, if there's somebody's just walking, and you can kind of tell that like, okay, yeah, they are actually traveling through the base.
But they had the same problem. They have like the one door that's always open on their spaceship, I think, in Victory. So the Decepticons, I think, always know that's where to go in first because it's the only entrance. And it's like they just never have the door closed.
They don't have HVAC. They need that one door for circulation.
I did like how, Optimus is like, we'll go, even though the Decepticons shouldn't want a primitive robot realistically, but I kind of want to see what these humans have been up to, so we're going anyway. He's just like, yes, protection, and totally not because I have self-interest. Because ideally, like realistically, the Decepticons shouldn't want human technology like this. It's going to be so primitive, but somehow we made a robot better than some of the Decepticons are, because Megatron already wants to replace Starscream with her.
Yeah, Starscream gets jealous.
I mean, I honestly think that the robot was better than all of them. Like, I mean, the robot was beating up Optimus, so it beat up all the Autobots. It definitely could beat up most of the Decepticons. Megatron thinks it's better than Starscream, so it's better than everybody, essentially.
From your point from last episode, remember how the scientist is like basically being racist toward the Transformers?
Uh-huh.
And this time we have the Transformers being racist or judgmental toward the humans because they're making fun of their technological progress and how unadvanced they are. Wheeljack's like, haha, this robot will just be a walking toaster. And like joking with Sideswipe.
They're like, yeah, where do we put the batteries in? This is just a toy.
Gonna need an extension cord to move.
Yeah, Optimus comes by and just shuts them down and is like, hey guys, we don't want any of that talk.
Yeah.
And it's funny because they're giant robots, so all the humans are probably listening to them diss on them. Because they do it twice, once there and once at the base. Both times Optimus is not really having any of it. He's just like, just do your job.
I love how he walked by like that. Hey, you guys, you're being rude.
So this gets to the main plot of the episode. Dr. Fujiyama, who is actually voiced by Lance from Voltron, by the way. They're like, haha, look what I've built. And this guy stands up from the stands and says, Mr. Professor, whatever, why build a ninja robot, Doctor? And I just wanted him to say, because we can. But he says it's not for fighting. He says it's not for fighting, but it's got 2 human-sized nunchucks and 2 human-sized daggers on its arms and says it's not for fighting.
And it's got a mace, it's got shuriken, it's got a lightsaber katana, and saw blades for hands. There's no way it's not a weapon.
Yeah,
Ninja stars.
Oh man. Well, I think Fujiyama obviously knows his market. He's trying to get the military to buy it.
Yeah, I
They're
was
in the
gonna say,
audience.
he really isn't setting himself apart from all the other scientists that build this deadly weapon and just like, oh well, just because it's a deadly weapon doesn't mean it's going to be used for war. We're never going to do anything terrible with this thing, and of course,
you can trust us. We're a good company
at all.
I like Optimus being off to the side, saying, "What is a ninja?" That was
Yeah.
pretty epic.
What were you saying there, Thomas? The end of your sentence? Sorry, I talked over it.
Oh, I was just elaborating on the fact that like these scientists always do this. They build a deadly weapon and just assume that it'll just be always used for good.
Like the pink robot last episode, right?
Mm.
Maybe we should question why we built it after it's already been built. But yeah, so I know this should go into stupid moments, but it's not really. I'm like, this plan is stupid. Nightbird is old tech. Why do the Decepticons want it? Because this is my notes when they first begin to steal it. It's and then Spike even says what I'm thinking, and he's like, "Why do they want this?" And then it's not later in the episode till you find out. Oh, okay, they didn't know that it was actually this advanced and had all these weapons. So
Well, that
I
still
guess
doesn't answer the question. I mean, like, why would they want it?
I think,
If they didn't know it was that advanced, they just assume it was a dumb robot, but they still wanted the dumb robot.
I
Why?
think Fujiyama kind of set himself up by inviting the Autobots to
Autobots.
guard it, because I think this Decepticons just showed up because the Autobots are there. They're like, "Oh, the Autobots are doing something. It must be related to energy cubes or something
Absolutely.
we need to steal, so we'll just show up."
Autobots plus scientists equal the Decepticons should probably show up.
I'm just imagining Megatron busting in a wall and then looking at Nightbird and being, "She can't fit in an Energon cube," and just immediately leaving. Because usually all their plans are energy based. But this is a plan that's just to kill the Autobots. Like, there's nothing more involved than that.
No, this is it's not without the
Oh, that's
same.
right. She's stealing something.
She
Okay.
did
Stealing
go and
something, yeah.
steal the world energy chip that was labeled so in the Transformers computer control panel, but
Why do they need her to break into the Ark? They've broken into the Ark multiple times.
yeah, they just got lazy, I guess. They're just like,
I think even
let's send
Soundwave got
something-
in once. Sorry.
Let's
go-
send something disposable.
Soundwave definitely got in. Ravage gets in all the time.
Yeah.
I think Laserbeak has gotten in before.
Multiple times Laserbeak has gotten in before.
Laserbeak.
Yeah, so even after this episode ended, I'm like, well, the Decepticons didn't need to do that. Like, there still was no purpose to that.
The cassettes are like always in there, like in and out of there. Like we
I
heard
mean, honestly-
Autobots talk about this.
Honestly, after the fact, they should be constantly trying to steal her back because of her capabilities and how effective she was. The one thing I want to kind of figure out was what's up with Bombshell just showing up out of the blue? And then two, was it ever established that he was just like some kind of tech genius? He basically took over the job that Starscream usually would have performed.
Well, no, the tech job would have usually been done by the Constructicon guy, because one of the Constructicons is a genius at building and then gets the others to help him because they know how to actually build the materials. Where one of them
They
is
know
the
how to do
designer.
like electronics, like brain stuff.
I guess he's also a smart one. The Bombshell. I can't remember. I'd have to see.
I
Yes.
don't remember that ever being pointed out with him. Of course, the mind control chip.
They always have one of those on hand.
He always does that. So
Yeah.
even though I feel like they could just story wise just force Starscream to also invent one of those.
Yeah. So, Thomas, there was a character error in this episode. Did you spot it?
Was it a visual thing or an audio thing?
Oh, it was a character error, like a character who acted out of character. See, so they take off with Nightbird. The Autobots fail spectacularly and don't protect Nightbird, the Japanese-made, Earth-based character, who unfortunately doesn't have a toy because it was a one-shot character written for the show, and there was never a toy it was based off of. But oh, you know what? I didn't research her toys, but I know it wasn't part of the 1985
They
4, 5,
easily-
6 line.
the way that they reuse molds, they could have did something with RC easily.
Yeah.
She basically has the same body.
It's because so basically, so it's a female body, so they're gonna copy and paste female bodies all the time because they always want to make them slender. So they're always gonna look the same.
Right.
So it's like you see that when you get to a later season 2 episode where you see all the female Transformers, 5 of them on Cybertron fighting Shockwave, and all of them have the same kind of body type, basically. But
What is it? Boo and Bo?
That's the
Don't
wrong.
they have the same body too?
Yes.
Like literally the exact same body. Are they supposed to be twins or
Well,
what?
that one works because they're supposed to be siblings.
Oh, I mean,
So
they're
I
all
guess
siblings, right?
you could give them a pass on that. But yeah, so Nightbird, her first task from Megatron is to break into the Ark, steal that thing that Charlie mentioned, which I forgot.
The
World
world
energy
energy
chip.
chip.
Yes, which actually kind of makes sense from a plot point because it monitors all the energy of the world. So when the Decepticons attack, the Autobots know the Decepticons are attacking, right? I feel like that's what it was used for. Anytime something goes wrong, they'll be like, oh, a power plant in, this country. The Decepticons must be behind this. Let's go.
I
So they
guess.
kind of didn't really explain it thoroughly when it was first introduced. What I inferred was basically that it provided infinite power. But then they said that it provided like a record of all the world's energy sources. But then later in the show, they didn't again say clearly that it provides infinite power.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, how did this never come up before? And like, how have
Yeah.
the Decepticons never tried to steal this? This is like the ultimate energy source.
The chip can tap into all the world's power supplies,
Yeah,
including your
Yeah.
router's power supply. Even that one.
even the battery powered objects, it'll sap it wirelessly.
Okay, so while Nightbird is there stealing it, she gets spotted by Optimus, somebody, and Cliffjumper. This is after she's already jumped over the completely worthless metal detector stuff, which, that means the Autobots just can't walk through that area, I guess, or they have to do a running jump, I suppose. But anyway, Nightbird is caught, and Cliffjumper points his gun at Nightbird and does not shoot at her first.
I don't
And
believe
then-
that. That's not what happened.
And
Is that
then
what happened?
he has the gun pointing at her. It cuts to commercial, and when we come back, his gun is now down and on the side, and now he's not even pointing the gun at her. That's two character errors in Cliffjumper's part. He always shoots first and asks Optimus if he can later, right?
Well, I guess their original orders were not to hurt her, just take her in. They just couldn't zap her a few times, and the circuits are still good, But yeah, they were holding off, and they made so many dumb mistakes. Like Optimus's laser cannon gets taken away. 'Cause
Yeah.
careless with that, and then he walks up at one point with the ninja's katana saber, and he's like, here's your sword, and like thinking she's gonna come for it, but she just uses like some kind of magnetic pull to pull it back to her, and it flies right out of his hand. He doesn't have a tight enough grip on it. It's like,
And speaking
come
of her
on.
sword, and her sword is a lightsaber, and it uses the Star Wars sound effects.
yeah.
And
Vroom.
I'm just like, this is definitely, they're not hiding the sound effects anymore at this point. They're just like, we must have gotten permission to use them. Screw it. Use it whenever you want now. It was just so hilarious.
Well, I want to go back to the Cliffjumper point. If anybody was confused of whether or not he was changing or not, he immediately reminded everybody how much of a trash Autobot he is, and he probably should have died a long time ago. Because immediately he's like, well, I'm not listening to you anymore, Optimus. Optimus just told them, don't shoot her. And he just was like, I'm tired of this crap. I'm going to shoot her. So he had to be stopped then. And then later in the episode, just a few minutes later, when she's beating up everybody, he's like, screw this. We're shooting her again. He has to be stopped a second time from just shooting her.
Yeah, he's always, I was like, later he just keeps doing that.
He is terrible. He's useless. It's not even interesting that he does that. It's just the same crap every time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because what is it? The Seekers, every time they fly, their sound effect, I think, is X-Wing TIE Fighter sounds. And every time they boost their jet, it's basically a very modified Death Star explosion somehow whenever they're going really fast.
Those battle sounds, sometimes it just gets on my nerves. Like they've got these Hanna-Barbera like style cartoon noises, bonks and beeps
Mhm.
and squawks like mixed into just
Mm-hmm.
battle noises. But it was really like that at one scene in this one. But
Oh yeah, did you get the in joke about Cliffjumper, you guys? Whenever
No.
they're chasing after, and it just shows all of them jumping up to chase after Optimus and Nightbird, and then Cliff Jumper is the only one who can't jump and jump up onto the cliff and needs help
Right.
because his name is Cliff Jumper.
Oh my goodness. Oh my god. I didn't think about that, but yes.
Was he the one that kind of missed the rock or something?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh god.
He
And
only made it like halfway.
he had like a plaintive look on his face, and I was just thinking about that. How they look like they're afraid to die every time they're climbing something, and they like slip.
I feel like that's something a writer did, and he was like, "Oh, this is hilarious," but I don't know if the kids are going to get it. I just thought that was pretty hilarious. I was like, "Wait a minute, was that Cliff Jumper?"
So one of my favorite parts of the scene, yeah, I guess it is throughout this scene, we're seeing that Megatron and the rest of the Decepticons are kind of watching Nightbird get away or fight the Autobots. And Megatron is just so impressed. He is just like so impressed by the capabilities of Nightbird. And he's like falling in love with her, essentially. And to me, he's still been with her. He's decided to get a divorce with Starscream and replace him.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
He just straight up says, "Oh my god, I found a replacement for Starscream," and Starscream just loses his mind and screams like, "Replace me!" And this screams, "Never!" And then he punches Megatron. He just punches him like just with no hesitation, not even trying to shoot him. Just right in his face, just slugs him and knocks him to the ground. Megatron has to call for backup and tell them to restrain him, and they put him in jail.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it was so funny.
He imprisoned him in a force field that he was saving for the Autobots. Insult to injury.
Yeah.
For a reason, Starscream needed to scream inside of the cell when they put him in there.
Oh yeah, that scream was that was a weird sounding scream too. That was funny as well.
Yeah, I forget what I had. I don't remember what my note is about this, but I just remember it it feels like Starscream is in an abusive relationship with Megatron, but even though he's finally going to be free because Megatron's found someone else to use, he's like, "No, you won't leave me. You will love me." Punch.
Right. Oh my goodness.
He's like, "I need you, Megatron."
You're
It's
nothing
funny.
without me. You'll never make it.
That scene is all the proof that is necessary that like Starscream is not a coward. He's not a punk. All the groveling he does is an act. He just wants to be in Megatron's good graces so they can continue their relationship.
Now you're going to be one of those shippers, Thomas.
They shipped themselves. I didn't have to do it. So I thought it was also kind of funny, like pretty much like right on the heels of the scene, they put Starscream in Megatron's version of, electric force field cage. We turn back to the Autobots who have successfully tied down Nightbird with their own like electric force field. And Megatron is just like so impressed that like, oh wow, I didn't know that the Autobots could do something so powerful. Before he shortly realizes that, oh, they've captured my wife. This isn't a good thing. So he gets upset, and then they all kind of like run out of the base to go save her.
Yeah, he was so impressed, and he's like, "Wait, I shouldn't be impressed. I got to stop them."
Yeah.
I do like. What is it? The conversation is Starscream's like, "She's not so hot," and Megatron's, "She's hot enough to replace you whenever I choose." And then Starscream's expression right there is like.
I mean, my expression.
Because Megatron just turns away and ignores him, and Starscream's expression is like, "What? Me?
Hot enough to replace you whenever I want." Oh my goodness!
Those are golden lines.
My other question when you were mentioning it is, how's Megatron watching Optimus this whole time? We never see like the whole point of Laserbeak and Ravage is they can only bring audio back with them. I mean, how is he watching unless, Reflector is somewhere off there using his camera mode to actually transmit video? Because last time we saw him, he could only print out pictures in the distance. So I don't know where he's getting this advanced, video technology or where he's watching this from unless, he's using like a Sky Spy satellite similar to what the Autobots have.
Maybe he's just tapped into the Autobots network since even the Doctor could just call them up whenever and just appear on the screen. It's like,
Does the network run all the way outside, miles into the desert, in the middle of nowhere? Because he was watching them there.
Yeah, because he also, remember that one time they just put a camera on Bumblebee and watched everything from him? They actually came up with an excuse to how they could watch, but most of the time they don't even come up with an excuse. They're just like, they're watching him from somewhere. It's a cartoon. Everyone always has a magic mirror.
Yeah, it's so weird.
If you're a villain, you always get a magic mirror to watch what the heroes are doing. Oh, Megatron. This is his quote before he captures. He's like, yes, you're definitely on my replacement list, Starscream. She's everything I've always wanted. That's word for word what he says.
Wow, man.
And that is what leads to the jealousy. He's like, no, you want me, Megatron, me.
Too much innuendo between those two.
Yeah, I wonder if the writers were definitely doing that on purpose, because it's never been like this before.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The last thing I thought surrounding that whole Starscream situation was basically the way that he freed himself by just firing just like this dinky missile that just bumped up against the button to release himself, and then he just flies out. You have like loaded missiles loaded in your arm that don't have explosives and would not punch a hole through something. It would just gently press a button. Like, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, and it kind of makes sense though with the way that the force field was scrolling. You have to time it just right to shoot something through the electric field, if that's how that's going to be viewed. As soon as he's free, he says, I'll show Megatron what his precious ninja is really like. And then I added my own sentence, then he'll only love me, ... me, exclamation mark.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was definitely a line that was recorded, but they had to cut it. They wouldn't be allowed to do that.
I kind of wish there was deleted audio for this.
Some outtakes and bloopers that they were definitely having fun with.
So you know how I usually say Starscream's blunders and other stupid moments, and I usually say that Starscream did something that inadvertently caused the Autobots to win. Well, not this time. It was deliberate. He deliberately chose to make the Decepticons lose because he stopped in Megatron's plan on purpose.
And then he just flies away.
Yeah.
And Megatron's so pissed off, he forgets his wife. He just leaves her and just like, we're going to go kill that guy. And they all just fly after Starscream, which technically they shouldn't be able to catch up with him at all because he's supposed to be the fastest.
Pure jealousy led Starscream to do this.
Yes. Which it's just funny because Starscream usually wants to be the number one. So I guess he didn't want to be the number two. Well, I guess he's the second in command or third in command because of Soundwave, but he doesn't want to be like, even more demoted. He's like, I won't be second in your heart, Megatron.
Second in your
I think
heart.
it's all about the personal relationship more than the rank that has got Starscream's metal panties in a twist.
Oh, there was one thing I noticed in the Japanese version. They added sound effects to the stupid metal sensor detector for both scenes when they were testing it out and when she was jumping over it. The Japanese added their own sound effects for the metal detector.
What did it
The
sound
metal
like?
detector is not stealthy at all. It just flashes bright lights and it makes sounds in the Japanese
Yeah, it made
version.
sound effects in the Japanese version.
And that's supposed to catch criminals?
Was it an alarm or like a metal?
Oh, the elevator
sound?
had and the elevator also had a sound effect. The one that Bumblebee and Spike were riding up to the top and then down again for no reason, just for fun. That had a sound effect where, at least in the version I watched, did not have a sound effect at all for that elevator coming up and down. Unless that was just because it was the Rhino DVD and it's added back to the Shout factory, which I haven't watched yet. But otherwise, they call her a she-bot.
Little
just
She-Bot. So patronizing.
I know. Why is there not a he-bot? And they're not like, well, that's a he-bot and a she-bot.
The She-Bots bought it.
I can't remember if the she-bot is in the English or if I also spotted that in the Japanese one. Did they actually say she-bot in the American version that we watched?
I think
Yeah,
they did.
in the American one they did. Definitely.
Okay, then they must have just translated
times.
that too. Exactly, because I heard him say it in the Japanese maybe too. But yeah, so basically the whole episode, the whole second half of No, the last 2/3 of the episode is just them fighting Nightbird for acts 2 and 3 of the show, occasionally cutting to Megatron and Starscream talking about Nightbird so they can save some animation costs. But mostly, it's just a whole fight the whole time. And at the end, they're like, they capture her. God, during the fights, she's throwing out ninja stars. They basically have a hard time evading her. Like you said, Thomas, Megatron is so enamored because she's taken out like 8 Autobots are fighting her and they can't stop her.
She's making their weapons obsolete. She's taking out all of their special powers.
And then at the end, they finally stop her and they're like, why is she being locked up forever? Megatron just tampered with her. Why don't you just reset the factory default settings, take it out and put something back in? Like, why do you think she can't be fixed? And it's just well, we're going to trap her away forever. That's what you get, you uppity woman, for not doing what I told you to do. And then it's just all of a sudden, dun, 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 evil eyes flash. Like, you're going to trap me? I'll get revenge on all of you. And then it just cuts to the credits.
He actually did say she was deprogrammed. He's like, oh, she's deprogrammed and safely locked up forever. But with the exception that they forgot to remove power and take out the evil Decepticon chip, which that should be a lesson to all kids. Hey, always unplug it, take out the evil control chip. Repeat after me, Transformers. Power down, chip on the ground.
Every time, whenever you leave your house, make sure you power down, put the chip on the ground. You don't want your house to catch on fire.
And unfortunately, if you were excited to see another Nightwing, she never shows up. Nightbird. Nightbird never shows up the rest of the Generation 1 continuity. I don't think. I didn't research her, but I know she doesn't show up in the actual animated series or in any of the 3 Japanese ones. So, do you guys have any more stuff about what you liked and didn't like about this?
I don't.
Did you notice the Braun took the place of Gears in this episode briefly? He was saying that he may not be able to transform, but he still can walk. He was like being the cranky old man. And then somebody was pointing out, well, Wheeljack's the doctor, so you have to do what he says.
Oh, yeah, that was hilarious. I actually have I have an animation error for that later. So, oh my god, I don't have my stuff for my format. I'm lost. I don't know what to do. I don't know what's next. I need my papers, my safety net. Okay, good. Animation errors is next. Did you guys see any animation errors? Because I found like 6 of them.
Man, I never catch a lot of the stuff you guys see. The only thing that I saw that was weird, it wasn't necessarily animation error. It was just more of an audio error. So at the beginning, when they're at the science hall presentation, whatever, where they're introducing Nightbird, the Decepticons break in and they're all fighting. The humans finally clear out. So then the Autobots actually start to fight back. So Optimus is trying to help a fellow Autobot who got shot. He's trying to help Ironhide he's trying to get the girders off of Ironhide. Mm-hmm. So he gets shot in the back. And as he gets shot in the back, he's like flying through the air. And the audio that plays while he's stumbling to the ground is just a regular guy's voice. It sounded as if the filter for Optimus wasn't used. But even still, if it was used, it still would have been pretty odd sounding.
Yeah, here it is. Optimus is hit with Megatron's laser from behind, but he yells in pain in Mirage's voice.
Oh, you think that was Mirage's voice?
Yes. Okay. At first I thought it was Ironhide, but I actually rewound it and watched it again, and I was like, oh, this is Mirage's voice.
Yeah. That one to me was pretty obvious because like it went on a couple of seconds because he moans like a few times during that sequence.
Oh, so. Because I thought he sounded like Hank Hill when it happened. Because
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm confused. It didn't really sound quite like Mirage. It just sounded like some other guy.
He was manhandling Megatron, and then I guess Ironhide was stuck under the girder. He's like, help, the girder's at me pinned. And then Optimus turns around to go help him. And then I think Megatron or somebody shoots him in the back. And then he's like, oh, or something. He makes like a Hank Hill kind of sound as he's falling.
Yeah. And then that's not the end of it. Later in the scene, Optimus catches the EC chip, but Mirage yells, got it, while Optimus's lip flaps are moving. And they accidentally use Mirage's voice a second time. I think this is later in the episode when they defeat Nightbird, actually, because they catch the EC chip.
You know what? That was Mirage's voice. I actually just listened to it again. Yes, it was Mirage's voice.
You didn't have
It's
faith in
interesting.
me?
Well, I didn't. I wasn't when I first noticed it. I don't know all the Autobots' voice that well, except like Ironhide or Ratchet or Wheeljack.
Cheers.
Mirage is not talking a lot. He doesn't show up in a lot of episodes in the first place. So he's in this episode a lot. So now going back, I know. Yeah, that's
The other animation error is what Charlie was mentioning earlier when Brawn is trying to go into Ratchet. They have him lying down feet first into Ratchet, but he's going in perpendicular instead of parallel. I'm like, Ratchet is not big enough to fit you laying down the wrong direction. But then they push him through and he does. I'm like, holy shit. His feet should be like sticking out of the wall on the other side the way they put him in.
Yeah, it was weird. I was looking at that because I was like, what is that? A conveyor belt or something? Like the door kind of just dropped down. And I kind of was expecting him to be, the other way around.
Yeah, I expected it to rotate and bring him inside, but it didn't rotate. It just shoved him in.
Yeah. That was really awkward.
So, let's see. My other animation errors, when they were on stage, Jazz's legs were painted fully black for a little bit and then switched back again. One of the weird thing is when the ceilings collapse, when the Decepticons first attack the auditorium, there is a white jacketed man who runs to help some guy who's fallen. Only as soon as he picks the guy up, his jacket turns brown, and it's brown then the rest of the scene.
That's kind of cool. Oh, weird.
I think that was it for that page. I think I have one or two more. Ratchet is smiling the whole time he's saying what the situation's like while working on Teletran 1. Like, when he's trying to fix Teletran 1 when the ninja destroyed it, he's just smiling like, oh man, it's destroyed. I mean, his voice, his mouth, his eyes and expression, everything aren't matching the voice because it looks like he's just so excited to be fixing something.
He probably was. That's how it seemed to me too. Like, I love fixing stuff. That's what it looked like, pretty much.
Yeah. Or he's just excited to be fixing something that isn't one of his Transformer brethren. Instead, now it's something different, finally.
Like he's actually feeling useful at the moment. I have a question. Did anybody see? Okay, remember the Ninja Jam's Cliff Jumpers, glass gas cannon?
Yeah.
Did she put a shuriken into it or something? Because I think I backed it up before. I never saw how it got jammed. It just seemed like he's like, oh, she jammed it. Like after he just stopped firing it. And
she jammed it and he threw it away. I was expecting it to be one of those things where it jams, he tries to shoot it and it explodes in his face. But instead it was just like, oh, can't use it. And he throws the gun away.
But I didn't see anything happen. I didn't see her do anything to jam it.
He threw a missile. The missile that she caught one of their missiles, and the missile didn't explode. She just caught it, and then it was just her missile. So she does something else, and then he uses the glass thing. The what is it? The glass
gas.
The glass gas, which is just a flamethrower. But then she throws a missile right into his the turret, and it just stops. That's it. Doesn't explode or anything.
That's funny. Yeah, no more deleted audio. Only one more episode till I have to get rid of that. I didn't see any retcons, unless that world ship thing.
Hey boys, we're gonna be movie stars!
Who is the main character this episode? It was definitely Nightbird and Starscream, I would think, even though Starscream doesn't really show up till during the first act.
True, I'd say. It's funny, they had Spike and Bluestreak go looking for the Ninja Bot, and I don't remember what happened to them. They just sort of disappeared. They got lost, okay?
So, do you think Nightbird should be a main character as much screen time as she got?
I think obviously they planned to bring her back, guess.
Well, the problem is it was written by two writers that worked on the episode together, and then they never wrote another Transformers episode. This is their only Transformers episode.
Oh, okay.
So maybe they wanted to work on it and then just never got the chance or weren't hired again, or they were just a one shot to begin with. There's no information about them. So we don't even know if they actually created Nightbird or someone else did and then they wrote the script.
So we never see this bot again. The she-bot is
No,
gone.
Nightbird is gone. So here it is. Transformers cartoon continuity. Enter the Nightbird. That's it. Oh my god. Oh my god. They do in the Japanese continuity, she shows up in the manga, and they do bring her back for some of the more comedic stuff that came out the last 10 years that are like one-shot comic books, I think, on the main Takara websites and stuff.
I can imagine her on like a chibi bumper or something. Like, who is that? You never see this character. It's just funny that they wasted the time, with the whole dun dun dun, like evil eyes thing, glowing in the dark, and yeah, that was it. Dead. Never seen again. Safely locked up forever.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? They left a door open for fan fiction and possibly a
Yep.
spinoff.
And then she can hook up with, Starscream and get Megatron jealous the next episode. Because, she'll be like, yes, I'll team up with Starscream to take down the Transformers. And Megatron's like, no, you're going to team up with me to take down the Autobots. And Starscream can be like, no, she's mine. And be like using her to make Megatron jealous. There you go. There's your fan fiction.
Oh, I had a horrible thought.
Okay, what?
No, I was thinking about a Japanese manga that's just like a love triangle, like a little like fan-made comedic love triangle between Starscream and
I will be going to CatsCon next year. I will look to see if there's any Transformers doujinshi
yeah.
and see if there's any of Nightbird when I go there.
Somehow I was imagining that exists somewhere.
Thomas, you're just like, ugh.
Yeah.
I just remember always walking by. There's that one guy that has like tons of manga made by people, and it's always fan-made manga for just everything. And I'm like, that's crazy. So main character, are we deciding? What do you think, Thomas?
It's Nightbird. It's her for sure.
No Starscream, since he actually has active character development and tries to do something in the show.
I mean, I don't know that he did enough to elevate himself over some of the other Transformers who were definitely more involved. I mean, obviously, Optimus was almost in every scene.
I was saying from a character standpoint, though, Starscream is like, immediately is just, I'm not going to stand for this. I'm going to be the number one. And then he's like, well, fine. Now I'll go destroy her so that I'll still be the number one.
But that was only like a small fraction of the episode. Like that all happened very quick.
Yeah, it's just that it's character stuff, which is considered being a main character, even if you aren't in it that much.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys agree to that, but Charlie, what do you think? So who do you think the main character is?
I would agree. It's I was gonna say Nightbird, but I'm torn between Starscream and Megatron. 'Cause Megatron had finally found love, and it just seemed like you saw a new side of him with his new robot toy. But
Yeah, and I guess you could also say Optimus because he kept saying, don't hurt her, don't hurt her, don't hurt her. And then he's like, I guess we can't do this anymore. My troops are going to get hurt, so now I have to hurt her. So then he's like, just had to do it.
He was overly present in the background of the thing, like as a moderator and helping out when people were down and getting his weapons stolen and being a little useless and trying to center people and bring them back to the mission. It's just like that. I guess so. Maybe, but
Thomas, you don't think Optimus could also be a main character, right? With everything he did this episode.
But yeah, I was saying it was him and Nightbird.
Him and Nightbird. Okay,
were my main characters.
He was like a parent in the episode.
Yeah,
just an annoying presence of morality and consciousness that we don't need in Transformers. We just need to see some robots battle it out.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to see robots get an education as well. So Optimus learned a lot about Japanese history.
Okay,
what is the ninja?
So we all agree on Nightbird, but so Charlie, do you believe Optimus is also a main character? Yes or no?
Yeah, I suppose. He had a
Okay.
lot to do in this episode.
So what about Starscream? Do you think he deserves to be a main character also?
Oh, yes. Starscream's incredible betrayal scene and performance was perfect.
Okay. All right, there we go, Thomas. That's 2 votes for Starscream.
All right.
So that's like 3 main characters, then it was all 3 of them. I don't know if we've ever nominated Optimus as a main character, because he usually always has a presence, but not really been the main character, except maybe in the end of the first trilogy. Or no, last episode, because he's the one that stopped evil computer guy all by himself.
I do what I want when I want.
Starscream's blunders and other stupid moments. So the stupidest moment is Megatron. He says he's going to replace Nightbird with Starscream, but then Soundwave, I think, warns that she's going to burn out with the whatever that's inside her, and he's like, yes, I know, but she'll at least finish what she was supposed to do before she burns out. I'm like, what? That contradicts what you wanted to do, which is replace Starscream with her, unless you're just telling that to Starscream to rile him up to see how he acts. But then later he says he's still going to replace Starscream with her. So I was like, did you forget she's going to burn out? I don't know. That part was kind of stupid. And I don't know if this was stupid, but when Megatron shows up, he's like, I got this energy gun or whatever. And I thought he was going to just absorb the energy of something. And then instead he shoots an energy blast. So I wasn't quite sure what that was.
Oh, man.
I think the only other thing is, the funniest stupid moment was their secret base with the giant Decepticon symbol on rock painted purple.
Oh, yeah. Obvious. Didn't they say something about having a temporary base or something?
Yeah, they were like,
Earlier.
it's a temporary base to make sure we clearly identified our secret base.
So,
Oh, man. I think the dumbest thing in this episode was just the Transformers energy chip. This world energy chip was in a totally open, like there's not even a door, unguarded room, and it just, I mean, all the ninja has to do is just go in, take a panel off, and then the slot that it's in is labeled World's Energy Chip, and this just takes it out of the slot. It's like,
Yeah.
who does that?
Thomas, any stupid things?
cliff jumper.
Why? Because he kept trying to damage the American technology?
Because he existed. That's why he's dumb.
Okay.
That's my stupid moment. Whoever gave birth to him.
Oh, God. Now just seeing him again is making you be like, I just don't want to see his stupid face. So the last thing we have is for the character spotlight. If you want to click on that chronoform link I just sent, this is really quickly. The chronoforms are... Where'd my internet go? It was an attempt to sell... These came out, I think, the same year of the Transformers line to sell secondary Transformers.
Oh. Basically,
an attempt to market transforming watches.
I remember these. My cousins had one of these.
If you're at the Chronoform, go to the bottom and click on the Chronoform watch commercial and just watch this 30-second commercial.
This is the world of Chronoform, the robot time machine that can transform.
Chronoform,
Transforms into a battle station.
Chronoform,
Transforms into a galactic shuttle, cosmic tank, a solar creature, a robot, and more. Chronoform,
Chronoform,
the robot time machine that can transform each time you tell time.
Chronoform, the robot time machine, each sold separately from Takara.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was kind of angry that they're saying that looked like things that it didn't.
Mhm.
It's a robot time machine, meaning I guess a timepiece, honestly. But it's like he placed it upside down, and somehow that's a base now. I'm like, no, that's a robot upside down.
Yeah, no.
It just doesn't look like anything else. Looks like a watch, and it looks like a transformer. That's it. I don't see what else it could be.
Like, I still would have thought that was so awesome as a kid. I would have wanted one. I didn't know these existed. But oh my god, there's a picture over there that's like, collect all of these toys. And I'm like, oh my god, there's more. There's more released later. Holy crap, look at those.
Imagine wanting more than one of those. Like, it's a watch. It's just like, you want
There's-
a bunch of watches to put on that have different bots on them? No, not really. Just want
Yeah, I was
one.
gonna say, like, are you just gonna play with these as like regular toys? I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know. It seems like it's a weird.
Do you see
concept.
the picture on the right, the second picture where it has all of them laid out on the table? And says, collect all the chronoform time machines. You can click on it to see the picture bigger. And it's not just black and silver like in the commercial. You can get a red one, a blue one. One is called Robot Time Machine. And it looks like Soundwave because it's got the same blocky design.
A
But I'm just
robot
like-
radio time machine.
Yeah. I like one of them looks like it's just a freaking radio jukebox. Is like, is that
That must
just a
be
portable
jazz.
watch? I was like, how does that even fit on you? Is that I don't even know what that is.
High band blaster, it says. I think it's just a radio. I see little earbuds or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the two radio ones have earbuds.
What does that blue one look like it's not, it's just a watch inside a jet. You can't actually wear it.
Ah, that sucks.
That's the same, I think, with that telescope over there. There's a telescope watch. Or it looks, maybe they come off of the watch.
No. The Excalibur, you can see on that band there is like the gun folds in half. You can see the parts.
Okay. Charlie, it actually says there was another watch released the year before that was the same one that claimed it had 5 transforming forms. The other watch is, check out the second link for Time Warrior. And it's the most ridiculous thing. This is the last thing. And I actually just found this video, but where the paint all fell off. It's the Time Warrior. And here's a small video that's like 10 seconds. Editor Sean here. I show them a short video on YouTube with somebody who owns a watch with the Autobot symbol on it, and when you hit a button, it splits in half to the left and right, so you can see the digital clock underneath.
Oh wow, that is weak sauce.
If you thought those were kind of weak, just look at this.
This is so dumb.
Did you watch the video, Thomas?
I did. Yeah.
Oh god.
It transforms. If by transform you mean flips to the side 30 degrees.
Yeah, barely. If I got that from McDonald's, I think I'd be happy with it. But if I was paying for it, absolutely not. Like those things cost $19.99 according to this.
Oh, that same guy did a
thing, there's
video
sticker on it.
of the ones we just looked at. But yeah, that's Time Warrior, who was also a watch that was technically a real person that it says stop time or reverse time or something. I don't know. The ads over there are kind of funny. It's just like, yeah, look at me, I'm a car, and yet here's a watch. Countdown to the attack with Time Warrior. I probably would have, as a kid, would have liked the little Transformer black ones that transform. But yeah, when I first posted it to you, they do remove from it so you can play with them separately. Because the guy just did it in the video. They all clip on to the strap. Okay, cool.
That's what they did in the commercial too, but it just didn't look impressive because they're like, "Oh, look, it's a spaceship." I'm like, "No, it's just still a robot. Sorry, it's
my
not
God.
looking like anything."
If you watch the video, the guy has to turn his head around first, and now he becomes, basically Black Soundwave because it doesn't look like anyone else.
That one was kind of. I mean, he was taking his time opening it up, but it was kind of dull, kind of boring. It's just okay. Yeah, it's like McDonald's toys. McDonald's Transformers Happy Meal was about as fun as that.
Yeah.
You had like the burger that pops up. And that was actually good. You could pop the burger open and it's got the little, I guess that was laser beak inside of it or something.
Yeah. Well, oh my God. The other ones look like they're calculators because they got buttons on them. But anyway, yeah. So Thomas, would you want any of these as a kid or now as an adult?
Oh my God. No.
Is that no?
Absolutely not.
Charlie, what about you?
Nah, maybe that little high band blaster.
Why would I, even as a kid, why would I buy this when I can get a calculator watch?
Yeah. I think I would like the little. I want that. Yeah, the high blaster one because there's a blue version also in one of the other pictures. I think I would like that one too.
Yeah.
Because the black and silver just kind of looks boring. I need something with bright colors to show off my awesome watch.
Yeah. Only thing I could have imagined having one of these and then like taking it to school and like losing some piece of it or something, and then that was it. But I can't imagine loving this and playing with it over and over forever. That just looks like something for kids to take on a road trip or something.
And then 5 minutes later, Mom, we're bored. Where's
Yeah.
the markers to color with?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they actually had names: Autoceptor, Deceptor, I wonder who's for what's cause, and Caltor, because maybe he's a calculator. I don't know. Oh, he is a calculator. That was the guy. Oh my god, he's so big and bulky. All right, last picture and we're done. Here, check out this picture. This is Caltor. He's basically a giant calculator watch that also goes on that strap with a much bigger chest
All right,
area.
here we go. Like I said, here we go. See, he's the one I would hold out for.
Yeah, that one's actually pretty good. Except for those buttons look like the El Cheapo buttons used to come on those little tiny keyboards. You know, like you could get like a little $1 keyboard with like a little songbook. You know, it made the little dinging sound. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what it looks like. Like it's made out of similar quality electronics. But
Oh my god, one looks like a scorpion. It has a scorpion tail with claws and everything. So I think that one would be cool too. But that would be my second option. So there you go. There's the scorpion one.
Scorpio. Oh, that one's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It looks like those are pliers, but we know they're not pliers. They're probably really soft, weak plastic.
That's awesome.
They could have
That's
made
all.
that useful and like made those like some kind of pinchers, like pinch your potato chip bag closed or something. Yeah.
All right, but I'm pretty sure they're like $100 plus on eBay, so that'll just live on in my dreams. Any last comments on the episode itself before we sign off?
Down here.
Nothing here.
All right, cool. Well, thanks, and hope we've shown you some interesting Transformers products here at the end. And signing off, this is Sean.
Charlie.
And Thomas.
If you want to hear music from a box like this, here's a high band blaster that you wear on your wrist. High band blaster. And would you look at this watch? Who would ever know? It can change into a robot radio. Robot radio.
Planoform non-radio watch is also available. Invisceptor Jet, Excalibur Gun, Scorpio, Autochron, Autoceptor, Caltor, and the Robot Time Machine. Each sold separately.